Hey, what is up, guys? Bluntcuts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Really appreciate you tuning in to my channel as I break down the banners that are coming this week. Right now, it is Monday. I'm prepping this in advance because I am going away for the week. Before I get to the banners, please take a second, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel. I would certainly appreciate it. It makes a massive difference to me. So thank you so much in advance. If it is something you can do, it's a free way you can support my channel, and it really does make my day. So thanks in advance if you can do that. Let's talk about the banners. And as you can see, we've got a Helga banner coming this week. It's weird that she's on there because Vorn is actually the headliner there. As predicted, Vorn is coming on a 20x rate up banner starting on Friday, May 23rd. So next weekend, Memorial Day weekend in the US. And I think, both of the heroes that are on this banner are good, but Vorn has the potential to be really exceptional depending on your account. Let's go take a look at his awakenings. So before we even look at the awakenings, I want to focus on one thing in particular here, because while Vorn does do some really great things, Poisoner, he gains increased damage from poison, he's got some really cool aspects to his kit, fits in very well with Nastya and Numera, of course, but this skill right here transcends the poison comp. Mind of Hatred increases damage dealt to shielded targets by 30%. It is great. Remember, he is a piercer as well as an esotericist. Theoretically, you could run him using like an Eova or something like that, and he is a marksman. He applies a shield break to 2 allied units. Shield break is a 30% increase to shielded damage. Now, Setram, he does the same thing, but he applies it temporarily when he activates his ultimate. So you have to have the ultimate up in order to provide the buff to other units. That's not the case with Vorn. Vorn just gives that buff to the 2 units that have the highest attack on the battlefield automatically. And that leads me into the awakenings right here because the A1 enhances that passive. The A1 applies shield break to 3 allied units with the highest attack, so further expands the number of units that have this 30% increased damage to shields buff. And that is massive. Vorn has the buff by default. He provides it to 2 others, and then at A1, he provides it to a 3rd other. That means that 4 of your damage dealers will have 30% increased shield damage. That is huge in Abyss 1, where the hardest part is taking down those shields. His damage is good, not great, but when you consider how much damage he's going to be adding using this shield break ability, he's really doing a lot more than what you'll see on the damage meter. That's my perspective. The A2, plus 300 attack, that is great. He is a marksman. Adding that extra attack is really nice. The A3, Flesh Warp can be cast 2 consecutive times. Flesh Warp is an auto ability. It is cast somewhat regularly by him. It does have cooldown reduction involved, so being able to cast it twice in a row, really nice. I do love that. The A4 is plus 5% penetration. He's too good. He can't get the full 8%. He's just too good. The A5, enemies inflicted with poison deal 25% less damage to the hero. Each time the hero deals damage to a poison target, restores 1% HP for the hero. This is underwhelming, in my opinion, and this has been a trend recently. For whatever reason, they have stopped adding in like these really powerful A5s. I guess the idea is, and I kind of love and hate it at the same time, right? Because it's nice that you don't have to go all the way to the A5 in order to get the maximum like damage dealing capabilities on some of these heroes. But at the same time, why do you need to keep pulling if this is what you get on the A5? This really doesn't do all that much for you, right? Because while he may take 25% less damage from poison targets, nobody else on the team will, right? This would be one thing if it was like reduces the damage that poison targets do by 25%. That would be incredible. But this is just for him. He's actually got pretty high base stats already, so I don't know that this is really going to help him anywhere right now, at least. Maybe when it comes to Abyss 2, this will be something that comes into play. Right now, not all that great. If it were me, I think the A1 is bonkers good. So if you have the resources, getting the A1 is fantastic. But I would also think about what 3 units would be getting that. So make sure that this is going to help you out in the way that you think it is. The A3 is nice, but it's not crazy good. In a poison comp, it's going to increase your damage by about 10% from what I've seen going from A1 to A3. And if you do have him in a piercer comp alongside Numera, then this is probably going to be very similar. You're going to get another 10%. You're going to get a 10% damage bump going from A1 to A3. Otherwise, it's probably going to be 7-8%, somewhere along those lines. Again, his damage is good, not great. And so personally, I think if you can get the A1, you're going to get most of the functionality of the hero. That's a good place to stop. But if you were really looking to maximize his damage, then the A3 is probably what you should be looking towards. Let's go talk about Helga. Helga, the carrion queen. I do like this hero. She is one of the few units that does have specialized attack speed. She is relevant in particular in the Styx Codex, where she is like triple S tier. But unfortunately, her awakenings are just not really all that impactful as far as her job there. A lot of them increase her damage, but she doesn't do a ton of damage herself, like I said. So let's go through them real quick. So the A1 increases damage dealt to the same target by 1% with each consecutive hit, with a maximum increase of 15%. This effect will reset when switching targets. So you're talking about essentially a 15% damage boost. She hits very, very quickly, so you're going to get this stacked up almost immediately, but it's a 15% bump to what is not really all that much damage to begin with. So something to keep in mind. The A2, 15% crit damage. It's okay. It's not great. I would prefer attack personally, but that's just because of the way that the damage formula works in this game. Attack is typically more impactful than crit damage, but crit damage is nice. It's going to enhance your damage, of course. The A3, when dealing damage, there is a 20% chance to inflict magic resist reduction on the target. It's a 3-second magic resist reduction. It is minus 15% magic resist. This is great. This is really good. And the A3 is very, very nice, especially if you are running a comp that does have significant magic damage in Styx. It's the rarer of the magic damage debuffs versus like the vulnerability buffs and all that. So I think this is great. Should have almost 100% uptime on this, despite the fact that it is a 3-second duration. You can have RNG, obviously, but you should be hitting more than 5 times every 3 seconds. So that is... it's nice. You know, it's nice. Here's the problem, though, in my perspective. This is really only going to help Ingrid, assuming that the current Styx meta does continue. Ingrid is the only magic damage dealer in that comp that is really going to be helped by this. The other units that are typically used in there are Wukong, Kagiri, as well as Lucius sometimes. Sometimes you got Setram in there, but no other magic damage dealers aside from Ingrid. So it's not really helping your entire team, and that is where I think it really does kind of fall off. I think it's got very limited usage, and the upside is not that great. Now, maybe the meta shifts at some point in the future, and this becomes stronger. You can make the argument that using her and an Esotericist comp with Nastya, that this would be useful, but Nastya brings 30% magic resist reduction. That is up 100% of the time. So yeah, it's not as impactful as you'd want it to be. The A4, +2 rage regen on your auto attack. That's nice, especially since you do want to work back to the ultimate in Styx. But again, I wouldn't want to pull 5 copies in order to get this. And then the A5, during the ultimate attack interval, reduces by 20%. Another nice buff here. This is going to enhance her damage, but more importantly, it's going to help her do her job better. She's getting a lot of hits on the boss's shield during her ultimate. But I can say from personal experience that you can clear every single one of the shields on the boss without getting this, because I can and I don't have it. And I just don't think that this is a hero that you want to go heavy for. Now, if you get a few copies of her while you are pulling for Vorn, then yeah, be happy about it, because she is useful at the very least. She's not somebody that's going to sit and not be used ever, but you're probably only going to pull her out during Styx. And maybe there's some other niche uses that I'm not thinking of right now, and maybe there will be uses in the future, but as of right now, that is her main function. That is the place where she is meta, and that's why I think really this is just a hero that you really shouldn't be like looking to awaken, but you don't need to be upset if you do get some extra copies. So that is that as far as the legendaries are concerned. I will touch briefly on the epics here. Mari, obviously one of the best crowd control units in the game, but I think many of us probably already have her. Livian, who is the queen of the T's here. Yeah, this pops up and you think you got a legendary and you didn't. She's actually a pretty solid tank though, and there are not very many Piercer tanks in the game. And then finally, Hollow. Hollow is great. Hollow is really good. Actually was a key piece in a lot of the Tower of Deception level 25 strategies that we saw last month. So really, really good hero. But if you are clearing level 25 of Tower of Deception, I'm sure you have her already. Again, she's really good. I think her best spot right now is really in Guild Boss 1, Nightmare 4, and below, which is not really challenging content. There's a lot of other fill-ins for her at this point. So again, great hero. Love her, but I wouldn't specifically be pulling for her. I would specifically be pulling for Vorn, though, and I do think he is worth getting. At least a base copy would be great. You know, it's going to depend, obviously, on your comp. If you did pull Nastya or Numera, then his value to you is going to increase. But even as a standalone, I think he is worthwhile. And just because you didn't get the Poisoners this weekend, like me, does not mean that we won't get them someday. It'll happen for us, guys. But I think he can be good on his own as well. So I think worthwhile to snag him. He is one of 2 units in the game that can do this shield break kind of ability, and he does it the best. So I think he is worth snagging a copy of. Get 2 copies if you can. But that is, that's going to depend on resources, right? In any case, guys, I do hope that this was helpful to you. If you do have any questions, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you plan on doing. I'm interested to hear it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before you go, take a second, click that thumbs up button, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you do want to see more of my stuff in the future. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Good luck on your summons if you are summoning. I will catch you all next time.